What's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to the Mets Postgame Show right here on the channel and on X. And the Mets are still alive. This is probably the best played all-around game for the New York Mets in a while. This was a flawless game. Defense, pitching, clutch hitting. And the Mets stay alive with their 83rd win as they wait for the Reds game to start in about 15 minutes. And now we scoreboard watch, guys. The Mets took care of their own business. They can only control what they can control, and they controlled a game in Miami. And this was a flawless outing. And what about Klay Holmes? Wow. That's all I have to say is wow. This is something that I was not expecting from Klay Holmes at all, guys. I'm not even going to lie. I was not expecting an outing like this from Klay Holmes. I just wasn't, guys. Sorry about that. My lighting kind of went crazy for a second. There we go. A little bit better. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. My lighting went a little crazy for a second. Listen, guys. Just an amazing performance by Klay Holmes. Nothing better than seeing Klay Holmes. Sorry, guys, a little messed up to go around here, trying to get on as quickly as possible. Perfect from Klay Holmes. This was the outing we desperately needed from Klay Holmes. And Dolo, you shouldn't held Diaz. There would be no tomorrow because we all know what would happen. If Helsley would have came in and gave up runs and Diaz would have had to come in anyway to save a game, we all would have been bitching. He threw, 15, 16 pitches? He's fine for tomorrow. No doubt about it. The other thing is we have a whole rested bullpen. Rogers will be good tomorrow. Probably rarely, if needed, would be good for tomorrow. Diaz is good tomorrow. You got Helsley, Soto. You got Dylan Ross. Everybody's available. Stanek. Everybody's available tomorrow. And that's it. And yeah, if Alien, I agree. Look, if the Phillies lose, yes, the Brewers clinch. And right now, the Phillies are. Let's see. Where's the Phillies didn't play yet, right? Did the Phillies play? They're losing 1-0 right now in the first inning, and we'll see. Again, still, you won today. That's all you can control. You can't control anything. Well, yeah, Brett, Holmes has been a solid this year as a 3 or 4 starter, but unfortunately, the Mets pitching has been so bad, we needed Klay Holmes to be better, unfortunately. We needed him to be better. It's not his fault, right? First year being a starter since Pittsburgh. Listen, it's hard to kill him because it's not necessarily his fault, but when he's been the most consistent guy and the most, healthiest guy in this rotation. And, he's been giving us a lot of 4-inning outings. That's not sustainable for a New York Mets team that has a bunch of 4-inning pitchers. It's not reliable. But overall, this was the best game the Mets have played in God knows how long. The defense was solid. The offense, Pete Alonso had a hell of a game. He got it all started for us. Jeff McNeil with a huge hit. And if anybody needed a hit in this lineup, it was Jeff McNeil. That was a huge third run right there. Obviously, we got a couple more runs in the top of the ninth. Everybody did their job and did what they needed to do. This was a desperate game here. Everybody was available. Everybody needed to be used. And I was telling myself, put Diaz in. Diaz works better when he pitches more. We noticed that in 2022 when he was just mowing everybody down. The guy likes to pitch. He hasn't been used like during a stretch of games. Diaz was basically a spectator for like weeks. He might have been used like twice in a week in a save situation or in 2 weeks in a save situation. And he was coming in just to get work. How many times this year has that happened? You needed him just to make it easy today. Don't make it interesting because if you throw in Helsley or somebody or Dylan Ross, first major league appearance, and he struggles, not only do you use another pitcher that might be throwing 20, 25 pitches, now you have to throw Diaz in a crucial situation, it just didn't make any sense. Throw him there. Andola, yep. And Mendoza's not going to get credit for that. Like, I'm glad you brought that up with Acuna. That was a hell of a move right there. Right? He made 2 backhanded plays that maybe McNeil would have made it, but maybe he wouldn't, right? We never know. But it was a solid move. Sometimes Mendoza deserves a little bit of credit. And you know what? Mendoza was spot on today. He did everything he needed to do. And you know what? Nobody complained about the lineup today. Everybody did what they had to do. Good job with the lineup, right? Even Mauricio got a base hit today. I mean, he really didn't have another choice. I think Acuna is still more valuable on the bench for the New York Mets. Unfortunately, it hurts him, I think, to develop. But with this team right now, Acuna is needed as a pinch runner or a defensive replacement late, and that's what happened. So good for Pete Alonso for doing what he did today. Acuna did a hell of a job defensively. Mendoza had a hell of a game, and the Mets pitching gave up 1 hit in total. Klay Holmes, 6 innings, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. And he was very efficient. He pitched to contact, wasn't afraid to pitch to contact. I think a huge deal for Klay Holmes was that he tried to strike everybody out. Yeah, but Dolo, haven't you watched the Mets the whole season? 5 runs is like 1 run to this team. I'm sorry. This was a must-win game. You lose, there's a pretty good chance that season's over. Season's over. Even if the Reds lose today, you would have to have them lose twice, and you would have to win tomorrow. I don't care. Perfect scenario. Get it done. Win the ball game by any means necessary. Mendoza did that. Because if you didn't put up Diaz and you would have found a way to blow this game, you can't lose a game and not throw your best reliever. You can't. You can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. Yeah, David, let's be easy about Klay Holmes being our best starter. I think 1 start is not going to make me say, hey, Klay Holmes, I need you in the game too. Like, I mean, that's what the Mets will do because the Mets just see 1 start and, now he's the ace. Like, that's how they go. So the fact that we get the job done by any means necessary. I wanted to win. I don't care who's in the game. They said Brazaban's starting tomorrow. Oh, that's I was gonna say. I think it's gonna be David Peterson. I know that doesn't excite everybody, but you also have Manaea, and it kind of with the lineup for the Marlins, they're better when they have the lefties in their lineup. So they're gonna go with matchups. They're probably gonna go Peterson, Manaea, and hope that works. And if anything gets into trouble here, you figure out what you got to do. But the better lineup for the Marlins is against a righty. Even though they struggled today and Holmes had a hell of a performance, they struggle with righties in their lineup. And you switch Xavier Edwards to the right side, who's their best hitter right now. He's better as a left-handed hitter than a right-handed hitter. So that's where you got to look at it. But listen, here's the thing. Everybody's available tomorrow. The only people that are not available tomorrow is Klay Holmes, probably Jonathan. I mean, he's available, but you're not pitching him. And Brandon Sproat. Everybody else is available. Everybody. Nolan McLean is available. If you need a big inning and an out, everybody's available. Like, there's nobody that should be thinking that they're not available tomorrow in the bullpen. Everybody's available. The entire Mets pitching roster needs to be in the bullpen except for Klay Holmes, Jonathan, and Brandon Sproat. Everybody's available. You cannot let this game get away from you because you don't want to throw a pitcher. Everybody's available. Telly, I'm going to watch it. I'm off the next Tuesdays, guys, so I have to live in this misery with all together. Usually I'm going to be going to work and I'm going to bed earlier than usual, and the Phil's down 2-0. Again, the Brewers are going to play most of their game, about half their game, while the Phillies are still playing. So they're going to play. You just hope that they score a ton of runs in the first couple of innings, and then the Reds will have a hard time. They're going to start the press. Now, again, the pressure's on the Reds again. We saw this a couple of days ago when the Mets won, and it was the first time the Reds actually had control over the wild card spot, just like they did today. They seemed to press a little bit, and they struggled, and they were having a lot of bad at-bats that they wouldn't usually have. And again, the Reds are on a good team, just like the Mets are on a good team right now. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because one of these teams are going to make it, unfortunately, for either of us. Like, no team looks any good. Honestly, they have bad performances. The wins are ugly. It is what it is. Am I confident in tomorrow? Am I confident in tomorrow? No. Why would I be? I wasn't confident today. I mean, I'm more shocked that they played nearly a perfect game. They didn't make no stupid mistakes. They got the clutch hits. And they pitched well. That's something the Mets have not done together in one game in a while. Even the games they won against the Cubs, even the games they won against the Padres, they had a tremendous amount of errors. They played badly. It's just that the other team played a little worse, and the Mets won. So, listen, Met fans showed up in Miami, which, why not? Most of them live there. And a lot of people I know that I've always went to road games with from the 7 line and just mutual friends, a lot of them are there. So, again, it's going to be probably even more Mets fans tomorrow. I mean, it was a huge – you heard when the Mets started to score those runs and started to get the guys on base. It was 3-0. The insurance runs were possible, and Mets fans are standing up. Listen, it is perfect. Perfect. There you go, guys. So my former coworker, because he's too cool to still work with me, he will be going live during a Mets-Reds game on ESB. Again, you remember Tim? He came on a couple of shows. Maybe I know he came on a trade deadline show, probably a hot stove show, probably a pregame show. He'd been on shows before. The ESB. Betting on sports, you go to him. He's been damn good what he does. So make sure you tune into that as well. He's going live if the Brewers win tonight. So I don't know how to feel, guys. I really don't. I'm glad that tomorrow matters, no matter what. If the Reds win tonight, tomorrow still matters because both teams need to win. Well, the Mets have to win no matter what. Unless if the Reds win today, the Mets have to win, and you just hope the Reds lose. Again, we still don't have – now the ball's in the Reds' court now. The Mets have the advantage for at least a few hours until the Reds win or lose. That's it. But I'm going to be glued to it the whole game. I'm going to watch it. As soon as this postgame is over, I'm going to watch it. But it was just a perfect game. And this is going to be a very quick postgame show, guys, because there isn't much to say except great job by the Mets today. Now, it would have been nice if they'd done it against the Nationals. It would have been nice if they did it in game 1. But you can't change it. You can't change anything. You can't change the past. They've been as bad as they possibly can be and put themselves in this position. I finally heard those words out of Mendoza's mouth yesterday. I like that because that shows a sense of urgency from the manager and shows a sense of disappointment from the manager that I really haven't heard. I wanted to hear it from his mouth. He finally said it. And you know what? I'm glad he did because I think that kind of sparked a little bit of a fire under this team that desperately needed it. Now, it ultimately might not be enough because we don't control anything. If the Reds lose today, we control everything. We come tomorrow, we win, we're in. That's it. We don't have to worry about nobody else. We're in. We can be having a playoff preview on Monday. That's what I want. I don't care. Obviously, we're going to get into depth with who the hell's going to pitch And who's going to be the rotation other than Nolan McLean? And at this point, it'll probably be Klay Holmes because look what he just did. Now, I don't think he'll be available Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be available he'll be available for game 3. So he won't be available for game 2. Definitely not for game 1. So, no, David, I agree with you. I said this all year long. I don't care if the Mets look as bad as they've done and they trip into the playoffs. I don't care. We saw the Arizona Diamondbacks a couple of years ago trip into their wild card spot and go to the World Series by beating teams that they weren't better than, but they were better than them in that moment. Remember, they went to Philly and embarrassed them to get to the World Series. Now, ultimately, their run fell short and the Rangers won. The Texas Rangers, in that same season, choked away a division. Sounds familiar? Yeah, like the Mets. Choked away a division, which they clearly had a good grasp of early, in the middle of the year, and they completely choked that away. And they basically choked the first wild card away, the second wild card away, and on the verge of choking the third wild card away. So it has been done before. The Mets are they have such a dangerous lineup that the lineup can do what the Dodgers did last year. Even though the Dodgers pitching, they had actual starters, but they used a couple of bullpen games in series throughout the playoffs. But it wasn't about their pitching. It was about their offense beating teams. When they beat teams, they were bludgeoning them. They were outscoring them by 5 or 6 runs in those games. When the Dodgers won, they just destroyed teams. When they lost, they didn't score as many runs. They kind of, offense went a little quiet. Not much quiet, but somewhat quiet. So the Mets offense, the top 4 guys can completely take over a game. And all you need is a guy like Alvarez, or hopefully Beatty will be healthy if the Mets make the playoffs, or even Vientos finds a charge in life and decides to wake up in the postseason. All you need is another guy. So, listen, I'm not overly excited, but I am happy a little that tomorrow's game will matter, because it will, regardless. Win or lose for the Reds, the game matters tomorrow. Either the Mets have control over their destiny once again, and game 162 is win and you're in, because that is the best case scenario. I don't want to be watching a Mets game and watching the scoreboard of the Reds game because we all play at the same time. Listen, I just hope they play the game like they played today was exactly how you beat a Marlins team. When you don't make mistakes, you're going to beat a bad team. The Marlins aren't a good team. Now, they played a lot better than they did last year, but they're still not an overall good team. Now, the Mets aren't very good either, but when you look at the rosters, it should be a no contest, right? But we don't play the game on paper. This isn't Stratomatic. But at the same time, JoJo, yes, I know. The Phillies lose, the Brewers will clinch. I completely understand that. But the Brewers game is already starting, and you're in the middle of the Phillies game. So the Brewers probably have to play about 4 or 5 innings before they even know about that. So hopefully they score a bunch of runs in the first couple of innings, and it's a no contest game, and it doesn't matter what the Phillies do. So let's hope that's hopefully what happens. But again, we can't control that. Like, I'm going to watch the game. As soon as the post game's over, I'm going to turn on the game. Why? Because I like the suffer. Because I'm going to watch the game and just hope that the Brewers find a way to win. Now, remember, guys, obviously the Reds are their division rival. I don't know if the Brewers are bitter because the Mets beat them last year and they might just take it easy and let the Reds win. But I don't see that from a Brewers team with a manager they have. That manager is like balls to the wall, like pedal to the metal. And I'm not saying he's going to overuse his guys or, throw guys more innings than they should. He's not going to do that. He might take some guys out of the lineup, but I think he's going to play hard and not play just to lose. I don't think he has that in his body, Murphy. I just don't think he does. But the Mets took care of their own business. They did what they had to do. Now we wait. But at least tomorrow, we know that the Mets at 3 o'clock tomorrow have a chance to make the playoffs. I'd love to have control and just be having to win and knowing that it does not matter what the Reds do tomorrow if the Mets win and the Reds lose today. So, guys, it's going to be a very quick post game. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I know there's a game left, but all the roller coaster rides that we did this season, this season felt like it took 3 years. The way this is up and down, up and down, up and down. No post game tonight. I'm a little tired. I didn't get no sleep. Came straight from work and did a pregame, watched the game, now do a post game. Now I'm going to stay up later, probably 3 hours to watch the Red game. And then I'm just going to knock out. But no post game. Maybe I'll do like a quick short. So check out for that if the Brewers win. And, get more excited because now it's in our corner and we have control over everything we need to control. But until that happens, I want to thank everybody, even if you were on this channel for one day this year, tuning into the channel, pregame, postgame, Mets Talk Lives, Mets Hot Stoves, Mets Trade Deadline Talk, all that craziness throughout the year. I do appreciate it. I know we always don't agree. We disagree more often than not. But that is the beauty of being a fan of the same team. You're not always going to agree with calls, different moves from managers, or different sign-ins or trades, or in-game plays and decisions. But ultimately, we all want the same thing. You guys tune in because maybe you like me, maybe, but because you love the Mets. That is why. And I always appreciate it. And remember, guys, no matter what, I will always appreciate you guys hanging out with me, all times of day, night, midnight shows that we did a couple times this year, New Year's Day, midnight show, all that craziness. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. Even though this team gives us a lot of heartache, I have virtual friends because I do this channel. And there's some of you guys I've met at Citi Field. So, there's some, and you guys know who you are. If I name them all, it would take forever. But you guys know who you are. Buy tickets so you can sit with me. I'm a nobody at a game. That is awesome. And I always appreciate it. People send me stuff, souvenirs, bobbleheads, magazines. Like, I appreciate all that stuff. Like, don't think for a second I don't. I do. And I get mad a lot because this team makes me mad a lot. But it's never personal. I promise you that. It's the diehard in me that just takes over. So once again, guys, I appreciate it. And I'm not saying thank you because the season's over. I might be saying this spill tomorrow if the Mets can, find a way to screw themselves. But hopefully, we are smiling tomorrow. Because in the pregame tomorrow, if the Reds lose, you're going to find a giddy Rob. I'm telling you right now, you will. Because I know this team has just played like crap most of the season. But when you make the playoffs, and David said it earlier, the records means absolutely nothing. And all you need is one or two starters or one or two pitchers that look good and a bullpen that figures it out and an offense that is scary. Don't think for a second. You can possibly have, Alonso is just creeping up 40. I don't think he's going to get the 40, but maybe he will tomorrow. Let's just say you got 3 30 home run guys, 30 plus home run guys. I think Lindor's going to hit another one. This is what he does. You've had 4 guys, even Nimmo had a career high in home runs. This is a lineup that can be very dangerous in the postseason. So with that said, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Mets Postgame Show on X and on YouTube. The Mets are still alive. Probably the best game they played in a while all around. Defense, pitching, offense, all great. Holmes pitched the best game in the season. This was the best game he pitched, in my opinion. This was a guy that knew what the Mets needed. He gave it to him. And I don't know where he found it. But, man, if he can pitch close to this, hopefully in the postseason, we got ourselves a 1-2 combination of McClain and Holmes where we might actually count on these guys. So, guys, let's go Brewers. Go Brew Crew. Beat those damn Reds. And I'll see you tomorrow, guys, for a Mets pregame for game 162, guys. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Look out for that short, that YouTube short, for me pumping my fist if the Brewers win, guys, because the Mets have full control then at that point. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets, and I'll see you tomorrow on the pregame show, guys. Let's go Mets.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really socking the ball.